transition. Yes!
She's Diana Taurasi. She's Steph Curry. She's insert great shooter. I think it's helped her teammates find more confidence.
Clark and one.
She is incredibly well controlled off of the bounce of
Caitlin Clark is unlikely to compete in basketball prior to the 2025 WNBA season, with the Indiana Fever star electing to rest her legs after a mammoth 12 months in the sport from amateur to pro. She had been tipped to join the Unrivalled League, which will run in January 2025 and see 3x3 games, and has seen several WNBA stars sign up, including the Chicago Sky's Angel Reese, as it serves as a great warm-up ahead of preseason. Let's see Ryan Ruocco said before she lost from Connecticut Sun.
Her rise to the moment like she usually does. You know, I think one of the things that helps her is she has seen every kind of defense you could possibly see throughout the course of this season. A lot of times you go into a playoff series and you say, hey, this team's going to be able to be more lasered in. They're going to be matchup oriented. They're going to have time to prepare. And that's going to provide problems. And it's definitely going to provide challenges for Caitlin and for Indiana, because it is different than when you're in the sloth of the regular season and a team's playing 4 games in 6 days, whatever it might be. However, she so benefits, and her team benefits, from the fact that they got that defensive attention all season long. She knows how to handle it. And I think you're going to see something much different than what we saw when Caitlin started her career in Connecticut at the beginning of this regular season. Now, having said that, even though I think it's easy to say at this point she's already the best guard in the league.
Yet after her defeat to the Connecticut Sun in the first round of the WNBA playoffs, eliminating her from contention for a ring in her rookie season, the 22-year-old will probably not be there, according to Ryan Ruocco. She almost definitely will not be playing basketball this offseason, Ruocco said on broadcast with ESPN. So it is likely that we will not see her play until April. The Indiana Fever lost the second game and ultimately the series in a tight 87-81 game in which the ex-Iowa Hawkeye almost forced a third match on September 25th, putting up stats of 25 points, 9 assists, and 6 rebounds. But before that, let's see what Clark said.
Record-setting year. Here she is.
I feel like basketball has really consumed my life for a year, so I feel like it'll be good for me to kind of reflect back on everything that's happened. Like, I feel like I didn't even have time to really reflect on my college career because it ended so fast. And then I came here and was trying to give everything I could to this team. And it was special. There was a lot of things that this group accomplished that, you know, a lot of people probably didn't think was possible.
But it wasn't enough, and she will be watched the WNBA Finals from her living room sofa, although she can keep her head high after a phenomenal debut season that will see her win Rookie of the Year, whilst she was in the MVP race too. Let's see what Chinese said about Clark.
Yeah, a year this far.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark came into the WNBA as the most impactful women's basketball player we've seen in a generation.
I couldn't agree more with Chiney. Caitlin Clark is such an impactful player and has brought a whole new level of excitement to the WNBA. Her talent and influence are truly unmatched. However, Clark might have given fans some hope by leaving the door open to appearing in the Unrivalled League against her WNBA and formerly NCAA rival Reese, by refusing to rule it out on the grounds she hasn't thought that far. But it's more likely she's going to play some golf and swap the basketball court for the fairway and green, at least until the blustery winds of winter means she can't do that until the spring. Let's see what Clark said.
Decision. I was focused on beating the Connecticut Sun. I haven't thought too far down the line. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to do the next day. So maybe play some golf. I think that's what I'm going to do until it gets too cold in Indiana. So I got that.
Caitlin Clark made her highly anticipated debut in the WNBA in 2024, and although she showcased her talent, the season did not end the way she or her fans had hoped, as her team ultimately faced a tough loss. Despite the outcome, Clark's presence on the court left a lasting impression on the league. Known for her stellar college career, Clark brought the same energy, competitiveness, and skill to the professional stage. Throughout the 2024 WNBA season, she demonstrated why she was considered one of the most exciting prospects. Her three-point shooting, court vision, and leadership were all on display, helping her team stay competitive in many games. Clark continued to show her knack for scoring, often leading her team in points and providing key assists. One of her most remarkable achievements during the season was breaking the WNBA single-season assists record. The 22-year-old surpassed the previous mark of 316 set by Alyssa Thomas of the Connecticut Sun, finishing her first year with 321 assists. This record-breaking feat solidified her reputation as not only a scorer, but also an elite playmaker. Her ability to score from deep and make difficult shots was evident in several games, and she quickly became a fan favorite. Even in high-pressure situations, Clark remained composed, a trait she carried over from her college days at Iowa. However, the WNBA is a tough league, and despite her efforts, Clark's team fell short in the end. The season came to a disappointing close, but it's clear that her journey is just beginning. Losing in her first season is a part of the learning curve for many players, and it's likely that Clark will come back even stronger in the future.
Remember this.
If your only argument for Caitlin is that it would have been a great marketing opportunity and you don't have basketball experience or chemistry with the group listed in your reasoning, I don't want to hear it.
This is the most popular women's basketball player in the world.
It was a stupid decision because it compromises what your ultimate goal is, which is to elevate the WNBA brand.
Caitlin Clark is certain she will return even stronger next season after the Connecticut Sun beat the Indiana Fever 87-81 to end her hopes of finishing her rookie year with a WNBA championship title. On First Take, Molly, Chiny Ogwumike, and Stephen A. Smith reveal shocking fact about Caitlin Clark. But before that, let's see what Clark said.
She definitely came up with some big shots.
Got it off to a slow start, but Big Shot Bonner showed up when she needed to.
And later, with 1:05 left, Clark with the pass to Kelsey Mitchell. She misses, get the rebound.
Shoot the layup.
Not sure what happened there, but on the very next possession, Alyssa Thomas to Marina Mabry to seal the deal. Connecticut wins 87-81. They advance to their sixth straight.
She did her best, but let's see what Chiny said.
On the road, and this is late in the fourth, 4:06 left. Caitlin Clark comes up with a huge three. We've seen that left side three before.
Side step to the left. You know she loves to get into that three-pointer off the dribble, going to her left.
1:56 left. Alyssa Thomas with the pass to Dewana Bonner. She definitely came up with some big shots.
Got it off to a slow start, but Big Shot Bonner showed up when she needed to.
And later, with 1:05 left, Clark with the pass to Kelsey Mitchell. She misses, get the rebound.
Shoot the layup.
Not sure what happened there, but on the very next possession, Alyssa Thomas to Marina Mabry to seal the deal.
Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA as the most influential women's basketball player we've seen in a generation.
Yeah, a year this far.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark came into the WNBA as the most impactful women's basketball player we've seen in a generation.
I couldn't agree more with Chiny. Caitlin Clark is such an impactful player and has brought a whole new level of excitement to the WNBA. Her talent and influence are truly unmatched. Even with her WNBA season over, Caitlin Clark continues to set records as her entrance into professional basketball has skyrocketed interest in the product to uncharted territory. The Fever exited the postseason on Wednesday night with a loss to the Connecticut Sun. Game 2 of their WNBA quarterfinal matchup was the most-watched game in league history on cable, averaging 2.5 million viewers. The Suns' win over the Fever peaked at 3.4 million viewers and helped the second half of their playoff doubleheader between the Mercury and Lynx average 1.2 million viewers. The same viewing slot for the WNBA raised viewership 507% from last year's figures. Clark played in the most viewed cable telecast of the day for everyone in males under the age of 50.
Connecticut looking to close things out tonight, and here we go.
They're hoping that can discourage Alyssa Thomas from making some of her great passes.
No one picks up Clark, who cans the three. Rebound flagged down by Clark.
The latter game of Phoenix, Minnesota was the third most watched WNBA playoff game ever on ESPN. The first round games overall have averaged 1.1 million viewers, the most watched postseason in WNBA history. In the season-ending loss to the Sun, Clark scored 25 points, adding 9 assists and 6 rebounds. She's the first rookie to have pulled off a 25-5-5 game in the postseason. The WNBA Rookie of the Year being at the forefront of the Fever's revival led her to achieving several more astonishing feats during the regular season as well. Let's see what Molly said before.
Some of us felt like maybe she hadn't proved it in the WNBA, but at this point, she certainly has. So she proved everybody wrong.
What about the guards? Let's talk about the guards that did make it.
That's rude, Molly. Let's see what Smith said to Molly.
The only other athletes that I can see recently, the past generation, that have moved the needle like this, maybe Serena Williams, absolutely. Anytime she played, anytime she won titles, straight up viewership, box office, Simone Biles, we just came off of the Olympics. You look at that list. Now, the difference is Caitlin has yet to win.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about women's basketball is people are following her story. They followed her story at Iowa, now to the pros, and now people are going to continue to follow her until she hopefully gets a championship.
First of all, let's put this in its proper perspective. When I think about Caitlin Clark, the operative word that comes to my mind is gratitude. There's an incredible level of gratitude that should be accorded to this young lady with what she did for the sport. That's not to take anything away from anybody else, but I often argue, when I've argued with folks about this, you think NBA players shouldn't be thankful to Magic Johnson?
It's frustrating to hear Molly downplay Caitlin Clark's Olympic team selection. Smith was right to call her out. Clark wasn't just chosen for her stats at the time, but for her incredible potential and overall impact on the game. Team USA picks players who bring more than just numbers, and Clark has proven she deserved that spot, no matter what anyone says. Molly asked to Smith,
That doesn't, when the audience was telling you, no, something else matters.
Let me just hold on. Let me say one thing, because I want to push this forward to Alyssa Thomas.
Sure.
Stephen A., what is the major point that you want to make here, your major thesis statement on this? Because every time Caitlin Clark comes up, I feel like...
Oh, Molly, seriously? Every time Caitlin Clark comes up, you just have to throw shade. It's pretty clear you can't handle how much attention she's getting. Maybe instead of taunting Smith, you should recognize that Clark's talent speaks for itself. Smith responds to Molly.
Of this narrative, where you're frustrated.
Well, first of all, I'm not frustrated. Number two, I did get stuff off my chest on numerous occasions. I'm just reiterating my points because I think one of the things that needed to be mentioned was that even though Caitlin Clark is new to this, and even though she has proven to be a potentially sensational player, the resentment that some, not most, not all, but they say some, those who squeak get the loud, I forgot the phrase, but that stuff that was going on was real. And you see it with some of her fans. You see it with a lot of people who were looking at the WNBA and using that as a means to castigate them. People like myself, you and others certainly came to the WNBA's defense in terms of the credibility that the league has earned, that it richly deserves, the support that it has now received, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Smith is absolutely right. Caitlin Clark's talent is undeniable, and the resentment she faces is real. It's frustrating to see some people ignore the impact she's having, while the WNBA finally gets the recognition it deserves.
I feel like basketball has really consumed my life for a year, so I feel like it'll be good for me to kind of reflect back on everything that's happened. Like, I feel like I didn't even have time to really reflect on my college career because it ended so fast. And then I came here and was trying to give everything I could to this team. And it was special. There was a lot of things that this group accomplished that, a lot of people probably didn't think was possible.
All right, Caitlin finally getting a moment to breathe, right? As she just mentioned, didn't even get to reflect at all on her college career and just jumped right into things and had an epic season. How would you describe, Chene, her historic career?
Yeah,
a year this far.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark came into the WNBA as the most impactful women's basketball player we've seen in a generation. And
I can totally understand where Caitlin is coming from. She's been nonstop, giving everything to her teams, and it's amazing to see how much she's accomplished. Taking time to reflect on her journey makes sense, especially after such a whirlwind year. She's done so much that people didn't expect, and fans can't wait to see what's next for her. Andrea Carter reveal how Connecticut's Sun won. She said,
But also when you think about this Connecticut team, they're balanced. Everybody scored that got in the game. They had 18 points off the bench. Veronica Burton and Olivia Nelson-Ododa were phenomenal. They played so well. Alyssa Thomas was doing her thing. Big Shot Bonner made shots. They were more experienced, but they also had more weapons. When you look at Indiana, they had 3 weapons offensively. It was Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston. They couldn't compete.
I think the biggest thing was
it's tough to see Indiana struggle, especially when they rely so heavily on Clark. Connecticut's depth and experience were just too much to handle. Even though Indiana couldn't compete this time, I know Caitlin gave it her all, and I can't wait to see her continue to grow and lead in the future.
A scoring record or the all-time scoring record in college. But now you see her in the WNBA and you can say the exact same thing. Most impactful that we've seen in women's basketball for those same 2 reasons. Arenas were upgraded, viewership through the roofs. But then when it comes to the basketball, what she was able to do was truly impressive. She averaged 19 and 8.
Fans agree with Chinese assessment, recognizing Caitlin Clark's continued impact in the WNBA. Her record-breaking college career and ability to boost viewership and elevate the game in the league have impressed many, showing she's truly a standout player in women's basketball.
What she was able to do was truly impressive. She averaged 19 and 8. For some context, I won Rookie of the Year. I think I averaged 12. It is a huge feat to get those types of numbers. After Olympic break, you mentioned it, Molly. It's like finally she can wait, waiting to exhale.
Totally.
23, 9, and 8 were her averages, bringing the Fever to the playoffs. I know that there was a big 3 with Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell as well, but what she has been able to do has transcended not just women's basketball, but it's women's sports in this moment.
Fans amazed by Caitlin Clark. Averaging 19 points and 8 assists is huge, especially for a rookie. She's taking women's sports to new heights, and it's impressive.
Women's sports in this moment. The only other athletes that I can see recently, the past generation that have moved the needle like this, maybe Serena Williams, absolutely. Anytime she played, anytime she won titles, straight up viewership, box office, Simone Biles, we just came off of the Olympics. You look at that list. Now the difference is Caitlin has yet to win.
Caitlin Clark is on the same level as legends like Serena Williams and Simone Biles in terms of impact. She'll be unstoppable in next season.
And Angel Reese knows a ring is coming.
The rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese is definitely one of the hottest topics in the WNBA right now. Both players had incredible games, but in a recent podcast, Dan Dockich revealed fascinating insights about their rivalry. He said,
You know, it is amazing, and this is the stuff that we talked about basically all summer long. It is amazing the impact that Caitlin Clark has. I'm not throwing Angel Reese in there, but others do, and that's a good thing. But Caitlin Clark has literally carried the sport on her back all summer long. Caitlin Clark was the gift.
Many fans agree with Dan's words. Caitlin Clark had been amazing this summer and really had been the star of the sport. It's impressive to see how much she's contributed. The Indiana Fever rookies' arrival in the WNBA had signaled a new era for the league. Combined with the Angel Reese rivalry, not only did women's basketball change on a professional level, but also a college level. However, as recent numbers show, these former NCAA superstars have affected men's college basketball as well. Dan Dockich, in his latest Don't At Me episode, revisits a Fox News Digital article in conversation with 2 of the top men's recruits in college basketball this year. Let's see what Dan said.
No, Caitlin Clark's game resonated. Caitlin Clark's rivalry with Reese resonated. It resonated with me, which means it resonates with men.
Their competition inspires many and connects with a wide audience, including strong men. Let's see what Carrie Champion said about Clark and Reese rivalry.
The story of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, the rivalry, which really isn't a bad rivalry or a true rivalry on the court, is a good thing.
The rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese might not be super intense, but it's still a great storyline for the game. It adds excitement and keeps fans engaged. Dan said,
I digress. It also resonated apparently with a couple of college basketball's #1 recruits, Dylan Harper and Ace Bradley, 2 of whom.
It's exciting to see that Caitlin Clark's story is resonating with top recruits like Dylan Harper and Ace Bradley. Their decision to head to Rutgers shows how impactful her game had been. It just goes to show how inspiring she is for the next generation of players. Harper, the #2 nationally ranked recruit in the class of 2024, told Fox how he thinks all players are at the end of the day the same, presumably because of their love for basketball. Fox writer Jackson Thompson also mentions how the NCAA women's final had 18.9 million viewers, while the men had 14.8 million. The younger son of former player Ron Harper, Dylan also revealed how he had always followed women's basketball to a degree because his mom coached teams. Meanwhile, Bailey, the number 3 ranked recruit, told the news network that Reese and Clark were what made him follow women's basketball. But if he gets the chance to talk to either of them, who would he choose? I would probably talk to Angel Reese, her competitiveness for sure. What keeps her driving? Dan said.
FYI, the women's basketball tournament had 18.9 million viewers, while the men had 14.8 viewers. Ride or die with Caitlin Clark, baby.
While many believe, including Dan Dockich, that CC has carried women's basketball on her shoulders these last few years, her rivalry with Angel Reese is also what has made it more interesting. But the former basketball pro also believes that the WNBA was not ready for this boom. Well, let's see what Clark said about Reese.
I don't think I've ever been her teammate before with even a USA basketball or anything like that. So I know people are going to be really excited about it, but I hope it doesn't take away from everybody else. Like, this is a huge accomplishment for everybody on Team USA and everybody on Team WNBA. Like, they all deserve the same praise. Like, I don't want it to take away from any of that and just be the focal point of All-Star Weekend, because that's not fair to them. And, you know, obviously this is something that's really hard to accomplish. So the best we can celebrate all of them will be great. And just going to obviously soak in the experience, because you never know if you're ever going to be able to get back there. And it'll be fun for all of us.
She is amazing and respectful. How could we not support her? No matter what critics said, let's see Clark record breaking performance.
Corrals it, veers into space. Here's Clark. Clark looking to take it around Lloyd. Clark bodies in and finishes. Clark trying to shake Whitcomb. Step back is good. In the mid-range for Caitlin Clark. Missed there from Lloyd. Clark the fling ahead. Oh, what a dime! And Mitchell lays it in! And Caitlin Clark officially has the most assists ever.
Assist, another get ahead. Caitlin Clark, head up, right in stride for Kelby Mitchell. She did not have to alter her speed one bit.
Here's Katie Lou Samuelson. Can't hit the three in the corner. Boston the rebound. Clark a good look. She got it.
You had this tornado hit, and you weren't ready, says Dan Dockich on Caitlin Clark. Dan Dockich has long been a Caitlin Clark fan, and in the discourse surrounding her popularity in the league, he's usually been on the positive side of it. While some dislike a rookie getting this much attention, others want her to be in the spotlight even more. But Dockich believes that while she's changing the game, the WNBA is not dealing with it properly. Let's see what Dan said in response to her haters.
Only should you have known that Caitlin Clark was going to be a star, you should have prepared for it. You should have said, look, this is what is getting ready to happen. So let's do everything to enhance. Meaning, let's make sure she's on the Olympic team. Let's make sure that other NBA women are smart enough not to be morons to her. But that didn't happen. And they had to go through all of this garbage. I mean, all of this crap, and Kathy Engelbert didn't understand.
Dan is right. Caitlin Clark's talent was obvious from the start, and it's frustrating that she wasn't fully supported. And it's disappointing to see her face negativity from others in the league. Caitlin Clark had the option of playing a fifth year for Iowa under the additional COVID-19 year, but she chose to graduate on time and enter the W. While many thought her college success wouldn't translate into success as a professional, the Fever rookie has clearly proven them wrong. So has Angel Reese. With CC leading the league in assists and the Sky player in rebounds at one point in time, their rookie year has sensationalized the sport, even influencing the men's side of it. And it's only the beginning.
Because the African-American lesbian players were going overboard in their racism and sexism on Caitlin Clark. Lynn and the WNBA had to send different videos at all to the league to get this crap to stop. And the league has, for the most part, stopped.
This shocking admission reveals the internal struggles that Caitlin Clark has faced, not just from the fans, but even from within the WNBA itself. It's hard to believe, but the racism and sexism directed at her were so rampant that the league had to step in.
It seems on some social media channels to have taken a darker turn, a more menacing turn, where race has been introduced into the conversation, where sexuality is sometimes introduced into the conversation. How do you try and stay ahead of that, try and tamp it down, or act as a league when two of your most visible players are involved, not personally, it would seem, but their fan bases are involved in saying some very uncharitable things about.
This was the turning point when the conversations around Caitlin Clark's performance started moving away from basketball and into darker territory. Race and sexuality became the focus of an escalating controversy.
One thing that's great about the league right now, we do sit at this intersection of culture and sport and fashion and music. Like, the WNBA players are really looked at now as cultural icons.
True.
And when you have that, you have a lot of attention on you. There's no more apathy. Everybody cares. It is a little that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979 when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But
while Engelbert tries to frame this as a historic rivalry moment, it's far from that. The issues surrounding Clark and her competitors aren't just about sports. It's a reflection of the larger problems in the league.
Well, I mean, might as well. Caitlin Clark, they got their ass beat last night. But, man, Charles Barkley said this a couple days ago, that the WNBA could not have effed this up more. Kathy Engelbert, who is the commissioner, is facing criticism from members of the Players Association for not condemning racism and homophobia, which was, of course, and inevitably tied back to Caitlin Clark.
Barkley lays it all out. This was a failure on multiple levels, and now Clark is at the center of it all. The league's inability to handle these tensions has left everyone watching.
You answered them in private. Awful Announcing said her response was not only lackluster. Oh, really? It lacked of any substance. Well, so what? She's right. This is months ago, you idiots at Awful Announcing. What are you talking about? Engelbert's word salad reply.
Even media outlets are calling out the league's inability to tackle these issues head-on. Caitlin Clark may be a top performer, but the WNBA's handling of the controversies surrounding her is far from winning any accolades. The relationships I create here are my legacy. Caitlin Clark quite clearly announced back in Iowa just what she thought mattered the most to her. And now, as she continues to thrill the WNBA crowd with her record-breaking displays, she stands by her words. When the generational talent was drafted as the first overall pick this year, she was not the only one joining the league after shining for the Hawkeyes. Kate Martin was another Iowa alum who entered the big stage, joining the Las Vegas Aces. As their third encounter comes close, Clark is ready to host her former teammate just as nicely. In her recent media availability, the Fever guard talked about welcoming Kate Martin to Indianapolis. She said, "It's definitely pretty weird to us, like we were teammates for 4 years. We got very used to that and now going against." So then like you love it, you joke about it, but at the same time, it just takes some getting used to. I know a lot of our coaches will be here on the same night. Looks like a fun thing for all of them to be able to do too, and sharing that memory and that joy with us. But I'm just super proud of her and happy for her. The 22-year-old guard also hinted towards her former Iowa head coach, Lisa Bluder, making an attendance when Fever will lock horns with the Aces on Wednesday. Both of the WNBA rookies played 4 years together with Bluder at the helm and led the Hawkeyes to back-to-back NCAA finals. When the duo bid adieu to their alma mater, the 63-year-old also decided to step down from the coaching role. While Caitlin Clark has definitely been the talk of the town with her exceptional rookie season, her best friend Martin is yet to have a firm grip with Aces. Nevertheless, she has always found her college best friend acknowledging her and their friendship. The friendship between the opponent rookies, back in May, the former college teammates faced for the very first time in W. While the excitement among enthusiasts was obvious, Clark only made the matchup even more interesting when she opened up on her bond with the Aces rookie. Kate is obviously one of my best friends, somebody that was with me all 4 years at Iowa. I was the person that kind of begged her to come back for her 6th year, said the Fever number 22. After taking a redshirt year and benefiting from the NCAA's COVID-19 eligibility extension, Martin announced in February 2023 that she would be returning for a 6th and final season with the Hawkeyes. She, along with Clark, led the team to the finals, but could not sweep the championship after falling to the South Carolina Gamecocks.
Caitlin isn't much of a defender either. 2/3 of the way through the year, it was clear she was on an all-time record turnover pace. And for 2/3 of the year, Caitlin's three-point shooting ranked near the bottom of the league in percentage. I still get frustrated because she won't shoot enough in fourth quarters because she defers to her vets. Angel Reese is actually a poor defender. Angel's team has now fallen to 11-22, so she isn't having nearly the impact that Caitlin is having on her team. Angel Reese is better than Caitlin Clark, is saying Rodman was better than Michael Jordan. The truth is, Angel's a poor shooter of the basketball. I don't know any other way to say it. She's just a poor shooter.
Skip didn't hold back when it came to discussing two of the WNBA's most talked about rookies, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Let's see how Skip absolutely destroyed these young stars.
Caitlin isn't much of a defender either, though she can and she will steal the basketball. She's 15th in the WNBA in steals.
First up, let's talk about Caitlin Clark. Now, we all know she's been making waves in the league, but Skip's not buying all the hype. He starts off by dropping this bomb. Caitlin isn't much of a defender either. Ouch. That's gotta hurt for all the Clark fans out there. But wait, there's more.
2/3 of the way through the year, it was clear she was on an all-time record turnover pace, the likes of which I have never witnessed. It's almost like she was trying to turn the basketball over.
Skip doesn't stop there. He goes on to absolutely roast Clark's ball handling skills. According to Skip, 2/3 of the way through the year, it was clear she was on an all-time record turnover pace. An all-time record? That's not the kind of history you want to be making in your rookie year, Caitlin.
Caitlin's three-point shooting ranked near the bottom of the league in percentage. Yet, you're right. The truth is...
But hold on to your seats, folks, because Skip's just warming up. He then takes aim at Clark's shooting, saying, for 2/3 of the year, Caitlin's three-point shooting ranked near the bottom of the league in percentage. Near the bottom of the league? That's not what you expect from someone who's supposed to be a sharpshooter.
I still get frustrated because she won't shoot enough in fourth quarters because she defers to her vets. She's got horrendous pressure on her.
And just when you think Skip's done with Clark, he delivers this final blow. I still get frustrated because she won't shoot enough in fourth quarters because she defers to her vets. Looks like Skip thinks Clark needs to step up and take charge in crunch time. No mercy from Bayless today. Now let's turn our attention to Angel Reese. If you thought Skip was harsh on Clark, wait till you hear what he had to say about Reese.
Angel Reese is actually a poor defender, Brittany.
Right out of the gate, Skip drops this bombshell. Angel Reese is actually a poor defender. Wow. For someone who's known for her physical presence on the court, that's a pretty damning assessment from Skip.
Angel's team has now fallen to 11-22, so she isn't having nearly the impact that Caitlin is having on her team.
But Skip's just getting started. He goes on to question Reese's impact on her team, stating, Angel's team has now fallen to 11-22, so she isn't having nearly the impact that Caitlin is having on her team. Ouch. Skip's basically saying Reese isn't living up to the hype and isn't making her team better. That's gotta sting.
Angel Reese is better than Caitlin Clark, is saying Rodman was better than Michael Jordan or Ben Wallace was better than Kobe.
And if you thought that was harsh, wait till you hear this. Skip actually compares the idea of Reese being better than Clark to saying Rodman was better than Michael Jordan. Talk about a brutal analogy. Skip's basically saying anyone who thinks Reese is better than Clark is out of their mind.
Angel's a poor shooter of the basketball. I don't know any other way to say it. She's just a poor shooter. She's now 38% from the floor, not from three. She's 2 of 12 from three. That's 17%.
But the knockout punch comes when Skip talks about Reese's shooting. He doesn't mince words here, folks. Skip straight up says, "The truth is and was a poor shooter of the basketball. I don't know any other way to say it. She's just a poor shooter." No sugarcoating there. Skip's calling it like he sees it, and he sees Reese as a liability on offense.